Hey Joey. Okay, hey Toonfest panel. So I did a live stream about the Toonfest panel doing the reaction. Um, yeah, the Toonfest panel was not good. It was really bad. Uh, the live stream was a lot of fun. I have the raw file still saved. It's 3 hours and 24 minutes. That's how long we went on for. I'm thinking about doing a highlight reel of it and also uploading a version with just the Toonfest reaction. So if you missed it and you want to rewatch it, you can just watch it through. We also did some stuff on Toontown Rewritten after the panel was over, so I might upload that too. It's 3 hours and 24 minutes, so I'll probably do something with it in the future. It's all of it was saved, which I was surprised about, considering it was that long. But overall, I thought live stream was a lot of fun. If you guys want to see more of that in the future, tell me in the comments. I'd be willing to do that in the future. Probably not on like a regular basis, but every so often. Um, but let's talk about the Toonfest panel. Oh my god. I did not watch the 2016 panel. I've watched the 2015 panel, but I think it was definitely worse than the 2015 panel. Like I made some people really angry. Let's address that real fast. I made some people really angry with my live stream. Um, and I haven't seen any arguments to my complaints. My main complaints were let's actually break down the panel before we get into the people were so angry at my reaction. So there were people. So basically, Toon Ender in the first thing they did was they showed a Shell Games trailer essentially, and it was just Jesse Shell talking about more Toontown, which is what I said in my last video. Is there's going to be a lot of meandering, a lot of no new content, just talking about Toontown more. And it gets to the point where it's like, what's this convention really for? I thought this was for new content, showing us why we should play Toontown Rewritten. But it feels more like an advertisement of some sort. And it's like, I don't think anyone at this convention is going to go to a Toonfest convention to learn about Toontown. I feel like you have Toontown super fans in the audience, and you definitely do. I wouldn't even call them Toontown super fans. I'd call them Toontown Rewritten super fans, because the audience goes crazy over absolutely anything, which is actually quite laughable. Um, and that's another thing. Like, even though I think Toontown Rewritten is far from a quality, private server from any stretch of the imagination, um, I still feel like if you like something, you need to be critical of it, because you need to know. Because even with like TV shows, I really like, I usually can point out and say, okay, in this episode, I would have done this. I think they could have been better, improved in this way. I don't like to blindly follow anything, because when you're doing that, I really don't think you're respecting the art for what it actually is. Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like, if I just watch a TV show and I like it for a silly reason, then it's like, I don't know why I would put this TV show above this one when I absolutely have no reason for liking it. And that's kind of what I feel like a lot of people are doing with Toontown Rewritten. We had massive cheers in the audience, with parties being released and racing. I think some guy screamed yes from the in the audience. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure Altus and Desert Storm have racing and parties, and if they don't, you can just do it on offline. So I have a hard time really thinking that's that big of an accomplishment. And then we have the whole thing with the election, where Joey flat out admitted that they just lied about the election. Crocodile and Deer were going to win from the very beginning. And that's another thing where it's like, I don't care if they release two Toon species, but I care if you're going to put up this act. And that's another thing about Joey. A lot of people always say, oh, with Joey, we need to respect him because he does all this. But I'm like, no, he doesn't respect his own fans. He blatantly lies to them about numerous things. I could probably make a whole video filling up things that Joey has lied to his fans in the past. And I it's so ridiculous when it's like we've done this song and dance before with with Flippy and Slappy. That whole election was completely rigged from the beginning too, and then we have another election and it's completely rigged again. And it's just so frustrating for me to think about, to look at this at any objective level and not say this is utter garbage. It's stupid. They should just have. Wouldn't it have been a lot cooler to not have any election, not go through any of that election nonsense and just say, hey, guess what? Deer and Crocodile, they're coming to Toontown Ruin. That would have been amazing. That would have been so cool to just be like, yeah, Deer and Crocodile, they're coming. We've been working on them for a while. But why do we have to go through all this nonsense? Why do we have to go through all this nonsense of Toontown Ruin lying to their own fans before we can get any new content? The Deer and Crocodile models, I thought they looked fine when they were like a mile away. They're all right. I really would need to look at them. I've seen basic pictures of them, but I haven't seen anything. They're okay, I guess. I'm not crazy about. I like the deer because it looks kind of derpy, but I'm not crazy about. I like the deer because I think it kind of looks silly. I kind of like the deer for the wrong reasons. The crocodile, again, these are prototypes. That's why I'm not really saying my full thoughts and really going in depth, because it's like they're prototypes. I can't really go that deep into it. With the final model, then I'll definitely have things to say. But they're prototypes. I'll give them a bit more time to work out the rough edges. And then, I'll talk about that. So people with negative reactions. I believe one mod on the Reddit said something like, "Oh, I'm festering hate in this community just for clicks." And I'm like, okay, for that mod, I'll throw this for any person in Toontown Ruin with any sort of power. You can have a one-on-one discussion with me, and I'll post it on my channel about Toonfest. We'll just talk about Toonfest, and we'll talk about what was announced there. We can talk about how you lied to your fans. Like, I don't understand how that is necessarily hate. That's not hate. That's not. It's just me being real with you guys and trying to, wake up Toontown Ruin fanboys. This is silly, because all that Toonfest did was, and there's also the Q&A with Jesse Shell, and most of those questions, there were a few interesting ones, but most of the questions were things that I have heard 20 times. I said during the panel, before it was asked, I said, if I hear how the cogs why cogs are cogs for the 20th time in my life, I'm going to lose it. And then Jesse Shell explains why the cogs are cogs, and I lose my mind. It's like we're kind of exhausted in this game in this point in time. Toontown it's getting up there in years, guys. And I don't know why, when you have someone, and there were some interesting questions about Toontown asked. I will give a lot of people that. But it's like, I don't. It even got to the point where we turned off the live stream because no one wanted me to watch anymore, and that's why we went on Toontown Ruin for the end of it. But it's frustrating for me. The Toonfest thing is frustrating for me to actually say, you know what, this is garbage. You guys lied to your fans, and you guys didn't deliver any new content besides lying to your fans and Toon models. Yet then that apparently makes me just hate-driven. It's like I can't have a criticism. I can't criticize. I never attack the Toontown Ruin team. Never. I never do that. I always offer criticism and how you could make it better. Yet a lot of the Toontown Ruin staff and Toontown Ruin fanboys don't want to believe that, and they want to keep saying that I'm the problem. I'm the problem in the community when they're unfairly banning their players, not delivering any new content. But yet that makes me the problem. Oh my gosh. I remember I rated I remember I gave it a rating of a negative out of 10. But I mean, I seriously, if anyone, and that's the thing, a lot of my complaints, it's just definitively what the Toontown Ruin team should be doing better. There's not really any way to argue with me about that. And that's why a lot of people who try to argue with me just look like idiots, because they can't. Because it is definitively wrong for Joey to be unfairly banning players. Toonfest was bad. The Toonfest panel was garbage this year. I don't know how you can really argue with Toon and Rin lying to their fans and that racing and parties are coming when they're technically not even out on the game. We're still going to have to wait a few weeks for them. It took them 3 years. 3 years to do this. Oh, and I honestly, when I going into this Toonfest panel, I went in with no expectations at all, and I still got worked up during the live stream because I was like, guys, please, please, please. We always have next year. We'll probably go through this again next year. Oh no. I'll probably do a live stream again for that next year for their panel because I really worked some people up. And that's the thing. If you don't like, if I make you angry, if you're a Toon and fanboy and you're watching this, think about why it's working you up. Is it working you up because it's making you think things about Toon Rin that you don't want to think? It's making you think things like, oh, maybe Toon Rin isn't as great as I thought it was. Or are you mad because you actually have a point and you disagree with it? Like, I don't really know where you're coming from because you get angry, but then you say things like, oh, you're just filled with hate. You're just trying for views. It's like, no, if I was just trying for views, I would probably go in complete attack mode. All I do is offer constructive criticism and say what Toon Rin is doing wrong. And that's enough to cause drama in this community because it's just true and they don't want to fix it. You know, if I was just trying to cause drama, I would literally have to go in full attack mode at, you know, the Toon Rin stuff. I don't have to do that. I sit here and I just talk out things about what they need to be doing, what they need to change, and what they need to be doing. You know, it shouldn't work anyone up that I'm saying the Toon Rin panel was garbage if you actually thought it was great. You know, it never works me up. If I'm discussing a friend about a TV show and they say, oh, that TV show is garbage, I'm sound enough in my opinions for me not to get angry about something like that. I'll say, well, here are my reasons, here are yours. Maybe we can discuss it. And of course it's not going to turn into a screaming match or anything because I try to be civil with my conversations and disagreements. Anyways, the overall rating for Toonfest this year was -9 out of 10. Hopefully next year they can do better. I'll see y'all later.